side, but specifically the way they play into each other is so gosh darn interesting.
It absolutely is. And, you know, these two teams have a lot of MSI titles between them now. Of course, JDG absolutely stomping the LPL as it happens. They lost that one series, of course, to Weibo in summer so far. But as we were saying, they took a well-earned break after MSI, and they came back and they've had to ramp back up to speed. They've barely missed a step. The fact that we're calling it notable that they lost one series is in itself notable. Back onto the Rift, though, and now going to see what comes out with these drafts.
Yeah. We are in JDG's home arena in Beijing. That's why they have the beautiful skybox and a huge crowd to represent. As, man, I love to see those audiences. As a lot of love for these two teams, specifically the track record, the history of RNG, but the renaissance that feels like is on the cusp of starting for this JDG roster. And I think that's where we have to put a little bit of perspective for both these two teams. We will be having the draft come up here shortly, but I think the difference in trajectories right now for these teams is very, very intense. As speaking of intense, I guess we won't get to talk about that because the level 1 way getting a little bit low, and there you go, Kanavi. He gets first blood for JDG.
Oh,
Breathe,
no.
you're in a little bit of trouble here as Kasante level 1 still gets the knockback, and flashing for the kill comes Knight.
This is just the worst possible start for RNG. JDG are a team with a lead, which snowball harder than pretty much anyone else in the lead. Giving them anything is too much in the early game.
All right, Ruler a little bit low, but wanting this 2v2 is LP and LvMao. Again, we had a little bit of a desync there, but here we are right back into it. And I think this 2v2 down here is going to lend to a lot of the pressure we'll see from Wei and Kanavi.
For sure. I mean, we were talking about it in the first series, a lot of the players talking about it on their interviews as well. Bot lane gets a lead. Things are pretty disastrous after that point. So this early game, mid-jungle lead now from JDG needs to then transfer into something bot side, particularly when you have the likes of Ruler down there as well. If he gets to play the game early on, he will end the game very soon afterwards.
Truly will. I think we've seen the might of JDG.
Oh, and he's playing his own skin.
Display.
He's playing his own skin. He's playing the Samsung Galaxy Sire. I mean, he only plays that in games which he feels are kind of important, or the ones which are kind of significant. So that's a notable thing.
I think seeing the combo, at least in terms of escorting him in that fashion as well. The duo is on point as LP might be getting aggressed by that duo. And there's the strength of JDG. Ruler gets the kill.
Who knew feathers could cut so deep? LP just gets caught out. Doesn't flash early enough. Missing doesn't even have to flash forwards. Just gets him straight out. And LP really been blindsided in this early game.
Here's the answer from RNG, though. They're looking at top lane. They're looking at 369 as a weak point into this Gnar matchup for Breathe, as they are going to try to combo this with this Poppy for Wei. Get this damage down and should be able to get the ticks here on the 369, so RNG get themselves on the board.
Wei really has been the most consistent and impactful member of RNG in summer so far. And imagine saying that even just a year ago, particularly before MSI last year. A lot of people would say you're trolling, say you're joking. Wei was definitely a player which has needed to mature into his role, but he has aged like a fine wine here on the RNG roster. One of the very few remaining, of course, from last year. The entire bot side of the map switched out from RNG, but Wei really doing his best to lead his team from the front.
And before, when Xiaohu was on the team, Wei connected with him constantly. And it was this general aspect from the mid lane and the top lane, because Xiaohu can do both, why not? And the fact that it was kind of like the sword of RNG became Wei. But now, since then, since losing Ming, since losing Xiaohu, since losing the major voices of the team, mom and dad, it feels like Wei has had to step up into that position, right? And you have had this influx of LvMao with a lot of track record, a lot of experience, but it feels like RNG live and die off of Wei and Breathe in terms of a leadership aspect.
Particularly because Xiaohu is one of the greatest players of League of Legends of all time. Parting ways with a player like that, very, very difficult. Wei has learned his best from them. I don't think JDG spotted that pet jumping across that vision right now. He's behind Knight, doesn't have flash.
I try to get into the wall, but Knight knows to position away from his tower. He's not going to get baited by Wei. Kanavi was looking bot side.
Was wondering, but now Kanavi, you're right, has the free play on bot side. There is no flash in LP. There's a heal just coming off cooldown for LvMao.
He's not going to take the brunt of that trade there, but able to trade back because, you know, Lulu thinks. Lulu does damage too. And the trios are looking, right? RNG, so far, they're hovering so heavily towards Knight, trying to get Tangyuan something on this Ahri, while it's clear that Kanavi is hovering this bot lane very, very heavily. We will get redeploy out from Kanavi towards top side, but Wei needs to try to get a reset or get something going.
Wei is really trying to force something in this mid lane while Knight's flash is still down. Really wondering if there'd be a flash charm at some point from Tangyuan. Hex flash in.
Gonna go for a second one. Point blank flash. That's huge. The knockback there on the Knight. He does have the pullback, and Wei gets the kill. So you wait around a little bit, and you end up getting paid. Huge stuff to get RNG back on the board.
Okay, so we saw level 1, 2 kills go to JDG through that top side of the map. Used a lot of flashes for it, though. Punished in the mid lane before Knight's flash came off a cooldown. 369, similar there as well. So RNG, at least keeping up with the tempo. Something that Kanavi was saying in his interview. Wei has been the real pace setter for RNG. No different in this game.
He's able to get a nice little lead on the Poppy. We're going to be looking at a replay of that one. Wei's second attempt coming to mid lane, and it works out.
I think what they were waiting for was Knight's stun to be down. Uses the dematerializer to threaten a charm angle, flashes beyond it, realizing the timing is right then, and Tangyuan gets to combo up with his jungler, something that we said the RNG of old used to do.
And I love the highlight and the at least resource facilitation towards mid lane for Tangyuan, because we could talk about Knight all day long, finally getting that international trophy at MSI this last split. But this is a new mid laner for RNG who had to step into such huge shoes in Xiaohu, and who is a pure developmental piece of RNG as a whole, right? Being brought up from the Royal Club, where he spent a decent part of a year, and trying to make it work here in the LPL. Again, trying to be that general or at least some point of power for RNG from mid lane.
Recall as well. That's annoying. Well, comes up well with his jungler, but one of the big sticking points with Tangyuan has been that he was trying to be molded into the new Xiaohu 2.0. It felt like RNG were putting him onto all of the Xiaohu-like picks, like the Galio and the Ahri, and yes, they're meta picks in a lot of ways, but he wasn't really filling the same kind of role. Knavi's going to spot out on that recall. And as we can see there, Tangyuan, if he gets support early so he can ignore that early part of the laning phase, tends to do pretty okay for himself. However, one of the ways that RNG... Oh, flash traded. But one of the ways RNG lost to ONG in their last series was because Tangyuan was left alone in an individual laning phase versus Cream and versus Knight, who's arguably the best laning player in the LPL, at least from the mid lane. That's a dangerous prospect. RNG trying to prop him up in this early game.
It's a decent struggle to have here earlier on, but we're actually looking at the awkward push here from the bottom side, and missing, maybe taking a little bit of a trade here as the wave crashing from RNG is pretty big. But LvMao trying to put pressure on an organization that he spent a long time with, I would say, with JDG over 4 years. Been a little bit of a while removed now, but here on RNG, a new face to this organization. Wanted to make something happen with upstart 80 LP on his side.
And RNG did the 80 carry swap with LNG between spring and summer. Gala went over there, LP came over to RNG. And actually, you know, I think at the start of that, everyone was thinking huge win for LNG. Gala is so good, but RNG honestly have been doing pretty well with the 80 carry swap, and LNG have been struggling a little bit in their own regards. Have ourselves this Herald spawn right now, though. 80 carry is not a part of this one at all. It's about those mid jungles, it's about those top laners roaming down when they see fit.
Get the Rift Herald start up here by Wei with a preemptive strike. We got LvMao, who is looking for a bit of a roam timer, where Missing has not found his. We actually see that vision playing a huge part into this, but LvMao is coming up towards mid lane. So RNG obviously putting some big resources and care into trying to get an objective for their own after giving over first dragon to JDG.
So Missing also roaming. LP just behind the both of them. Missing has level 6. You don't have that on LvMao.
Trying to get that combo, but that charm delays. Big all out, though. Here comes 369 and the rest of JDG. They pounce straight into the throat of RNG. That's a double kill for Kanavi. And it's LP with a bit of respite in the mid lane to try to save that tower, but Ruler's picking up plays all the same.
But RNG doubled down on that Herald play by bringing up LvMao and LP, and they still lose the fight. Missing had the level 6 for that fight, uses his summoners, gets the quickness in there as well. RNG, they are just absolutely blown apart. JDG, again, they're such a talented skirmishing early game team alongside their teamfight identity as well, and you can see that again around this.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Such a talented skirmish team fight team. They don't miss ultimates on sitting ducks, but it doesn't matter when you have an extra engage ultimate. Missing uses the double charge, the battle dance, to get onto the targets he needs to. It's actually significantly high damage as well in this early game when you combo it all together with Ignite.
All right, RNG are right back to it, though. They get this Rift Herald, so they finally will get something back for themselves in terms of those neutral objectives. But this is where I do want to bring up this kind of trajectory I foreshadowed to earlier, right? RNG have been talking a lot about kind of bringing in the new pieces. JDG brought in new pieces, but they were guns, my friend. And they are looking at a trajectory that is worlds bound. They are looking at a trajectory that means a win here in Summer Split yet again.
So that's a really important conversation, because what JDG did is they kept their jungle support duo together of Kanavi and Missing. That helps you synergize quicker, because they're the ones which need to be on the same page more often than not, and they added some of the best carries in the world to their roster. Super teams have failed before. It was a little bit of a worry for JDG, I suppose, when you look at top esports also failing, and we thought they were going to be a super team. But JDG, they have meshed incredibly well, incredibly quickly. I think the scariest thing about this roster is that, again, I've said this a couple of times, I feel like we still got more to see from this team. You can tell the caliber of these players, but I don't even think we've seen the ceiling of this team yet.
Ceiling is looking like it's in space at this point. Ruler has been so good this split already.
You get altitude sickness when you go towards the ceiling.
Yeah, a little bit of vertigo if you're looking straight up. But especially the fact that like it's not just one position that's lending strength. It's Kanavi is so good from the jungle, but he has so many things to play around because everybody is a threat. And Kanavi is now looking to make Knight a threat in the mid lane. Tangyuan will burn that Spirit Rush, gets out alive himself. Wei was looking on the bot side for something.
LP throws out the Midnight Vigil, has a lot of burst.
That combo, though.
He's going to chunk out Ruler, allowing this Herald to go down. Kanavi still has ult, didn't use that in that bot side. Tangyuan's made his way down, but doesn't have ult. He doesn't have the same combat potential right now as Knight does.
That charge actually go through, get LP some gold there, but they're just trying to defend off of this collapse of JDG. Tibbers is available, but no flash.
Watch Missing.
Pops that quickness, hits that grand entrance. Nice Keeper's Verdict evens the odds, and Missing goes down.
Where there's a will, there's a way, and it turns out there's no enemy team members to worry about. He just punts them out of the fight. Fantastic Poppy ult, reduces the angle from Missing to absolutely nothing. Looked like a great fight in the making. Wei's ult evens the deal.
Really crucial stuff that this execution becomes so important in the game, in these fights. Knight goes for a big engage with the Tibbers. They don't really have the damage back, though, as actually LvMao will fall. Tangyuan afterwards as well. Does end up getting a little bit of a cleanup. Knight in trouble here. He does have a stun, but it doesn't matter. A double kill comes across for Wei, and ain't it so fitting that the caliber of junglers that we have, they're both sitting at 4-1.
Yeah, Kanavi tries to go for the uneven fight, says, okay, you use your ultimates, I still have mine, and I've got a decent amount of damage to go with it. However, they lose the fight. The gold is starting to get a little bit more even than JDG would have liked to go towards. They've been skirmishing well in this early game for the most part. 369 will manage to get themselves at least some top turrets as recompense for this. But RNG, they're giving as good as they take right now.
They are indeed. We're going to take a look at that replay as well and see how it just went down because Missing pulled the trigger.
This is the ult, which really solves this fight. Knight,
Merry
Kanavi,
Christmas.
they stack together. No, that's when you don't like your Christmas presents and you send them back. Like, you keep the receipts. It's like, nope, okay, Poppy ult, back out there. That is a clutch steadfast presence coming in from the Poppy afterwards too. Stops Kanavi connecting with the E, grounds him as well, means that he takes a lot of extra damage from that. The early damage of the steadfast presence is actually fairly notable. Makes enough for that one. So RNG, they get themselves that objective, get themselves a one fight. End of the day, you still have a couple of members from JDG, which are very, very strong though. Kanavi first and foremost amongst them, and RNG, they need to keep up this level of ability to punish JDG when they go a little too aggressive.
Yeah, we've seen aggression be kind of the name of the game on both sides, but that's where I do want to hone back in at kind of style of compositions, because we are looking at a game where if we get to a late game, it's literally just going to be LP versus Ruler, as we saw kind of the culmination of last series. But until then, it's about Kanavi and Wei leading the charge with Tangyuan and Knight trying to follow up. And LvMao and Missing are an important tri-piece into this combo. And we see LvMao is already here, Missing already here, looking for it.
Turning around once again under the bot turret. Doesn't have any magic resist right now. Something that we highlighted about the Annie-Ari matchup in our previous series. That can very much help. Manages to spot out Kanavi's recall in that brush with his Orb Deception. We'll cancel that one, but Tangyuan, need to keep an eye on him. Very much under threat if JDG get Knight on top of him.
And right now we just got a little bit of a lull state here. We have objectives secured on both sides. We got about a minute for the Rift Herald coming up for JDG potentially to put some pressure on. But that also means that we've gotten first item spikes pretty much across the board. Knight's lagging behind just a little bit, but he should buy it now when he gets his back off. And that does even the stakes just a tiny bit in the skirmishing.
Wei spots out Kanavi recalling on that bot side. Understands that Knight's probably gone from there as well. So RNG get to play the next 30 seconds as though there is no jungler on the map, because they know there's no jungler on the map. Gold just about as even as it has been the entirety of this game. It wasn't that even early on because you had the 2 kills coming bright and early from that one. Dragon not up. Herald spawning the next couple of seconds as well. Knight clearing out the wave.
Going for it though. Tibbers on the Tangyuan, and he will get the Everfrost back as a response. TP's coming in from JDG with Kanavi wrapping around the side. Wei has already claimed the kill, but here comes the rest of JDG. And you have Missing trying to go with that quick Nix engage, gets the double grand entrance, and Ruler is being chased. He gets the cleanse out with the Feather Call coming through now. Clutch, Featherstorm, Blade Collar combo, gets Tangyuan. LP is still big, but he can't face the might of Ruler. A double kill for Kanavi, and JDG come out on top.
In the LPL, we measure our bot diff with a ruler, but I mean, at the top side, sadly can't say the same thing for JDG. Breathe, takes down 369, cancelled his teleport, which was coming into that fight. Meaning that RNG maybe thought the fight was on, still lose it anyway. Not going to respond towards that top side of Knight. Had a bit of another awkward one in that fight. But either way, it doesn't matter. After the fight ends, JDG, they get themselves that mid lane out of turret. They're buying themselves some more space across the map, particularly with structures falling now. JDG will have more inroads to look forward to these skirmishes again.
Let's look at that replay now as well. We see the top lane as the Megadar is what? 369 was angry.
It was ETS. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's got his Meganar down. We can do something about this. Mininar has a lot of damage, folks. Great if you get on top of him, but Breathe just outspaces him.
Get kited as I'm the better MSI, you know, want to represent at least if he can. You know, Breathe might be a little salty there, but, you know, it is what it is. But in this situation here, it's a attempted capitalization from JDG in a situation where, yes, top side did go wrong in their avenue, but it was a nice fight from RNG, all things brought.
One of the things which might go amiss there, I'm trying to think. Oh no, there was a ward over the wall. I was wondering if it was the Ignite which gave vision on Wei, which allowed the E over the wall from Kanavi. Kanavi, one of the very best Wukongs in the world, probably the best Wukong in the world, currently has 2 items, 6, 1, and 1, and is showing once again why there are always too many champions to remove from JDG's pockets.
I just gotta, you know, preach a little bit on Breathe though, to some extent. Obviously came in after RNG had won their MSI and never had found that success with RNG. Now, really a crucial pillar that RNG is built around, as we were kind of talking about, their influx of newer players, their influx of just additions that are replacing a lot of the old guard here for them. But I still find confidence in him to take on a lot of these 1v1 matchups. And we'll see if he can do anything here, as he will not be able to influence this fight. And LP might have wanted him here. As he goes down, Knight is going to get a second kill, and it's Ruler who gets his third. There are some responses in side lane by RNG, but it's a full court press in mid lane by JDG.
And they're going to get themselves the Dragon off the back of that. Knight doesn't miss the Annie Tibbers yet again. Gets the third one of the 2 times of trying. It's going to be another charge towards this mid lane.
Third time's the charm.
Know if you can. Oh, you don't have ult on Ruler right now.
Yeah, he has a nice big shutdown on him as well, going straight to Breeze's pocket.
You wanna keep preaching about this guy? He's doing a pretty good job right now, picking up a lot of the pieces, which are falling off of a couple of the back end of these skirmishes from JDG. Again, credit to RNG. This is meant to be one of the hardest matchups in the whole LPL right now. JDG, despite the fact that they've had a little bit of the MSI hangover, coming in still very, very strong. But RNG, showing that they are continuing to build after their roster rebuild from spring to summer as well. They came into this whole year with relatively high expectations, didn't meet them, trying to get that again in summer. They're doing okay in this first game.
See actually some trade backs of towers. We saw the Observer highlight earlier, though. There is some very lasting damage going on in RNG's mid lane right now on that inhib tower. We'll see if they can kind of defend that one. That pressure will enable JDG. They have gotten a second dragon. There is a timer for them to try to get this soul point later on. We're actually going to take a replay back at that fight where Kanavi kicked it off.
But he gets kicked out of the fight just as quickly. Wait, having some awesome ultimates in this game. It's just not enough to disengage everyone. First time he had that big ult, it got rid of the mid laner and the jungler. Can't get rid of Knight in this. And this is the big problem of trying to play FOS into such heavy dive. You can't ever really stay safe to the same amount for someone like that Xayah who can ult away. JDG making good use of that. But of course, it doesn't really apply when you don't have the ult. Breathe just runs down the free kill.
Truly. As they did get distracted a little bit, maybe Ruler whispering a little bit of worth as they got that charge onto the inhib tower. But RNG, here you go. What happens if you're losing?
Here we go. Baron fights.
We'll see. 369 actually get a nice little flank. The Keeper's Verdict has already come out. Actually goes over to LP. You have the re-engage by JDG. LP goes down. That's a big tippers from Knight. A big engage from JDG will mean that they just tear RNG apart. They don't lose a single member.
RNG are going to try and teleport out, get something back. Knight has himself. The stun gets rid of that recall.
Oh, he stops up Tangyuan. And he turned into a sweet little treat for JDG.
At what cost? It cost them 4 members. Only the Lulu with the Baron buff. That lasting damage on that mid lane inhibitor turret might have been able to be capitalized on for a second. However, JDG not going to overpush towards that. They're going to keep 369 on that top side. Going to keep Knight pushing down towards his bot side with a teleport as well. He's at 10 stacks on his Dark Seal after all of these fights in a row. JDG, they lose themselves the Baron, but they're taking the real victory in this war. They're taking everything across the map.
Just waiting for that book to be bought and for Knight to go to the library. We'll look back at RNG's attempt. Again, we've seen this time and time again. It just didn't matter this time.
As soon as the Baron spawns in the LPL, things just go completely off the rails. That is a clutch Cyclone to stop Breed getting on top of Ruler. Might have been able to force him to stop doing some DPS for just a little bit, buy someone else some extra time to escape. It just doesn't happen. A couple of near misses for RNG. The ultimate doesn't quite catch onto Xayah. Nah can't quite get onto them either. And then after this, it is complete cleanup crew. Now trying to clean them Knight on the sideline though.
369 like, peace, I'm out. He actually finds LvMao on the back end of that one. We do get the kill over to LP. As I think the fight has continued. Yeah, 369. He all outs LvMao. No! LvMao, you thought you had the flank, but you're just a little Lulu.
Missing, has the battle dance, doesn't have his flash up for another couple of seconds.
Oh, let's go! Decisive boxing action for JDG. They're chasing down LP. Big stick from Kanavi. And that's 369 cleaning up way. JDG will get some backs off. They need to deal with Breed, but they still have a big amount of pressure to put bot lane.
The first few minutes in this game, you could have believed that RNG were fighting evenly, but JDG, they just always have another round left in them in this boxing match. They're finally taking this mid lane inhibitor. They're pulling ahead in gold. There are no Baron buffs left for RNG. They've walked away from this whole macro affair with so much extra than RNG.
Kanavi said, you want this smoke, Tangyuan? I'll smack you with my stick again! Kanavi gets the big one.
Monkey see, monkey bonk. Kanavi, best Wukong in the world, continually finding these engages, getting huge teamfight DPS, and there's just nothing you can do about it.
He is 9-1 on this pick, man. Oh my goodness. We thought Wei was giving him a bit of a run for his money. He is just running all over RNG. Holy cow, he just says, on sight, I will take you out. Knight says, I got you too, bro. I'm gonna be right there next to you. As JDG are pushing mid lane, I was gonna say it's a bit aggressive. They'll turn back to get this Dragon Soul point.
I think with the respawn coming in from Tangyuan, you feel just about held back enough to not go towards that end. They're gonna see themselves to a Dragon either way. They are just finding victory after victory in JDG. MSI title holders, LPL title holders, showing why they are at the top of the table.
Knife wants LP. He wants to take him out. And he's like, I'm not, you know, I'll let the youngin live for another day here. As he does not pull the trigger there. We get the full resets after that Dragon Soul point taken by JDG. We see Wave trying to be proactive here, and I do like that. Problem on the table, though, is that GA has now been completed for Kanavi. You thought he was playing out of his mind before. Well, he's going to be playing even more aggressive now.
So, going back onto the Rift, more resets coming through. Got a stat for you, by the way. All-time in his career, Kanavi 24-7 in all of his games, 6.2 KDA. It is one heck of a record performance he has had on this champion as soon as it came into meta. It gives him everything he wants. He's just such a good invading early game pressure jungler. When he gets the ability to do that, he's crazy. He's currently got a 3-level lead on Wave. He spots him out, and I'm not going to lie, I think he takes this 1v3. He doesn't care. He's just sat there and goes, bring more people.
He did end up getting the blue. Luckily, Wei is able to secure that one for him. As at least that comes up for RNG, but Kanavi will not relent. He has Ruler pushing this top side, and there is a tier 2 to come knocking. Kanavi's looking for it.
Has himself a Guardian Angel as well. Really just playing aggressively, playing on the front line, 9, 1, and 7. What can't this jungler do? Take down this turret as well. They don't have a Baron buff, they don't need it. Baron spawns in a minute though. That would be the death blow for RNG. It'd have to feel Soul also on the table in 3.5 minutes. Even if RNG find themselves a miracle fight, that would have to be the start of something in a chain of events. LvMao tried to at least steal the no! 9 HP! Oh, just give them one thing,
up.
could you?
Could not get it. Now it's just JDG back on that Breathe playing a little bit of you can't catch me now. But I love the story of Kanavi, right? He has been a mainstay on JDG since his time on Griffin. He was a spotlighted jungler even back then, but has really just been grinding it out with JDG. They have continually shifted some pieces around him, and I think it stands the test of time that Kanavi will end up being a legacy jungler in the LPL. Even with those starts in Griffin in the LCK, he has made an absolute name for himself in the LPL.
I think he's really put himself into the Hall of Fame, unofficial though it might be. Kanavi was a player which typically suffered a lot from... Oh, that's an ult. You see him? Oh, no! Oh, the ult into the wall. Oh,
just keep
God,
talking.
That's painful.
Keep talking, bro. Keep talking. Just keep going.
So Kanavi, yeah, used to be a jungler that used to, you know, invade a little too heavily, and, you know, he died when he didn't have pushing lanes. He's become a real holistic jungler now, though. It feels like he's really rounded off his game. He's no longer a player with all of these stylistic weaknesses, which we occasionally saw. Had a replay where he managed to force out Where's ult as well. He's just going in again.
Nope, he's just going in. And he's got the follow-up from Missing, who actually takes a huge chunk of damage. He's looking for LvMao! He wants the previous JDG support of LvMao, and he claims his head. There's TPs potentially available if they want to kind of punish any more, but there is also Baron on the table.
Wait, buddy, you okay there? Breathe on vision, sees Missing. Maybe can get him with a Mega Gnar, but rules over the wall.
Here. Let's get the grand entrance on him, and that's all members of JDG straight onto that Mega Gnar. And you might be mega, but you're gonna be megally dead as Wei is waiting in the wings for a potential steal.
That one was cut down to size. Wei has flash, has been off vision for a while, but I think JDG sniff it out.
Wei, can he do it? He's got Tangyuan. They're over the wall. Wei's waiting. He's buying time. 1,000. He gets it! Oh my goodness! Breath of life given to RNG from their standout jungler of Wei.
Tangyuan jumps into the pit and smites it down into smite range for Wei. JDG, they tried to hold it at a certain HP, but with the 2 smites on the table, they can't quite do it.
Can't believe the fates have aligned. RNG represent, but Wei, we highlighted this man earlier. This matchup is so intense. Wei versus Kanavi. Wei was waiting back here for so long, and look at the combo come through.
I mean, he spellbook snites to the point it gets just into range. I think that just spooks Kanavi and goes, smites come through, gotta get this down. There are 2 smites on the table. RNG walk away with it. It's a feel-good moment. It's a bit of dopamine. Not sure that's going to save you from bleeding out, but it's a fun moment.
Momentum can be a heck of a thing here in the LPL, though. You still got to deal with Kanavi, who's 10-1-10. No big deal. But they've connected onto him. He's still got his GA, though. And you've got to watch out for the rest of the fight as 369 shows up. Breathe, not going to have Mega. Kanavi goes down. That's a big frontal aggression moment for RNG that they punish the overextended JDG.
You get rid of the GA as well. Of course, that was going to remove that from the table for a little while. So you've taken half an item away from JDG because of that fight. RNG, they've rattled JDG just a little bit.
Man.
But Knight still has Flash. Everyone's grouped up in this mid lane. Of course, Elder is not on the table just yet, but Soul is. JDG, they don't have the smite. They're not going to go towards it right now. RNG, they have Baron buff, remember, but they don't necessarily have the items to take on JDG. Knight, Ruler, still incredibly powerful in their own right.
A Hex Soul right now would just be a sinking of the teeth from JDG into RNG, but they will not even contest it. They will live to fight another day, and RNG, with these item spikes, they're really starting to give a little bit of hope here.
Dangerous thing is that hope, but how did that one come about? So, Kanavi, he's very, very fed in this game. We talked about him an awful lot. Very strong. Not quite strong enough to 1v4, even with the GA and being higher level than the enemy solo laners. It's a close run thing, almost kills Wei, and you can feel the confidence in which JDG are playing with. Confidence is a it's quite a close thing to lunacy at points, though. Gets a little bit too far over the edge. Goes back onto the map without managing to complete himself a fourth item, but he's getting close to it. The Phage in inventory. Kanavi might even be able to complete it on this back, completing the recall right now. JDG, this game probably should have been over by this point. RNG doing well to extend it, even though they are still behind.
You're against a team called Royal Never Give Up, and you should keep that namesake in mind. You got 4 items away for LP. He's got the guns, and you're looking to get this combo set up. Tangyuan with that perfectly timed charm in that replay. He is starting to light up, even at the 1, 5, and 7. He is crucial in a lot of the setup damage, but as well as the lockdown CC that RNG are looking for.
Ruler almost pops the Banshee's Veil from Tangyuan. See how long he can keep that one for. It really is only the Zaya.
They got a positive bear that time.
They did, and it was very needed. Tangyuan going on to Ruler.
Oh, Ruler. He has all of his tools. It was all just a bait. As Knight comes in with the timbers, it's not enough in the preemptive strike. Ruler's still firing away. Ruler with that Feather Storm and a triple kill already. He's looking for LvMao, but it's looking for the game now. You step up to Ruler, you better be ready for the bat to the head.
Hail to the king, hail to the Ruler, taking the game into his own hands. Pentakill technically on the table here.
He does get that one. He might find one more. I want to see it come through Ruler, just like in the previous series. Okay, he's finally going to focus on it. All right, breathe. He goes down. He got the unofficial Penta for Ruler, and game number 1 holistically in JDG's favor.
Pentakill times out, but Ruler is timeless himself. That Zaya, whenever they turned up to the fight, you just remember that you have, one of the best AD carries in the world also on their roster. This is the terrifying thing about JDG. Whenever someone has one of those awkward moments, like Knight missing those anti-tibbers at some points, and then Kanavi at points to going a little too deep, there's always someone else to pick up the slack. And Ruler in that game, whenever he came to the table, he was absolutely exemplary.
Yeah, he truly was. I think every time I see Ruler get Zaya, it's like, at what moment are you going to think that you can kill this man? And he just laughs in your face. And it happens every single time he plays the Zaya, because you think for a moment, you saw Tangyuan, his eyes got real big, real bright, trying to find Ruler, but Ruler had literally every tool available, and the second you step up like that, he will just take advantage fully. So it is interesting enough to see how that first game went for JDG, but now we are still catching up. I believe we're going to have the picks and bans come up for game number 2 very quickly now. We should be diving into the game shortly here, Nymaera.
Okay, so let's see what adaptations come out of that Game 2 draft. RNG, I think they did... It's kind of hard to kind of put this into perspective. I think RNG still did fairly well in that first game. Managed to punish the flashes used very, very well from the level 1. They managed to come up with a load of different ways to hold JDG to account early game. They just couldn't see that through the entire game. And as you can see, I mean, Tangyuan and LP still managed to get involved in the game. Breathe also having a decent amount of damage over his opposing number, but just look at Kanavi. What do you do about that?
Look at the KDAs of both Kanavi and